I'm Kaylee, and today I'm going to tell you about my top 10 favorite sci-fi and dystopian books that I've read in the last 10 years. I don't read a ton of sci-fi and dystopian. I don't know. I guess I just always tend to go towards fantasy, and so not a ton of sci-fi comes my way, and I want to change that. And please subscribe, and don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up. These books are not in any particular order, they're just kind of in the order that I happened to think of them and put them on this list. The first one has to be C.S. Lewis's Space Trilogy. Let's see, it starts with Perelandra, is that the first one? I can't remember now. This is about a man who is whisked away to another world, to another planet, and he encounters aliens and all kinds of adventures and stuff that he goes through. But all of it has this spiritual undertone with it, right? So every little thing that happens has this kind of double meaning almost. And there are some really dramatic moments, and the writing, of course, is really truly wonderful. I feel like with the Space Trilogy, you just have to read it maybe twice, maybe 3 times before you can really grasp everything that's going on, because it can get a little complex, but that's why I love it. The next one is Ender's Game. I'm still reading through the rest of the Ender books, and I do really love them all, but I think I like Ender's Game the most. Ender has been chosen among his classmates to go to a special elite space school where they are training basically for war. He has shown a lot of almost genius aptitude for warfare and for strategy and everything, and it's very interesting to see how he develops relationships with his classmates, sometimes good relationships, sometimes not so good relationships, and there's some conflict and everything in there. And there's this internal conflict in Ender himself about the meaning of war, and when is it really okay to go to war, and when does the fighting just need to stop? This is another book with many layers to it and many different meanings behind it. It's such a complex story, and Ender is a very complex character, and I really love this one. I also have Stephenie Meyer's The Host. This is when a bunch of aliens invade Earth and they take over the bodies of people. So there's this small little ragtag group of folks, this little ragtag family, and they are one of the few people left who have not been indwelt by the host. And so they're running around just trying to, not get caught and not get like a parasite put inside of them to take over their brains. I really love all the plot twists in this book, and I really love the characters. Like, there's just such a variety of characters, all with different motivations and different emotions and different thoughts and different ideas about how they should do things, and there's just good storytelling. My sister introduced me to Hugh Howey's Wool. This is kind of told in sets of almost like short stories, but then when you put them all together, it's a novel. So parts of it are told from different points of view, and so you're kind of getting the overall picture of the story from just these different little highlights of what's going on. So this is set in a dystopian future when people live in these long silos underground with all these different levels where people live and work and play, and people have been living that way for generations, because the outside world has become so inhospitable that you could only survive for a few hours if you went outdoors. However, there is a murder mystery to be solved. There are a lot of mysterious things that are happening and that are going wrong, and so there are these particular characters who they are determined to find out the truth about the silo. So close to you is a time travel trilogy by Rachel Carter. This is about a teenage girl who has grown up hearing about all the strange experiments that go on in this government facility near her town. And then one day she finds out that her grandfather was involved in those experiments back in the 50s or 60s or something. And she begins to investigate and finds out that time travel is real. She goes back in time to try to save her grandfather, and this whole rollicking time travel adventure continues through 3 books before it is finally resolved. Because of course time travel creates more problems than it solves, and every time she would go back to try to fix something, something else would get messed up. It's really interesting and fun, and I really loved her sort of connecting with these ancestors, with her grandfather and her great-grandfather and great-grandmother and stuff. So it's all about this continuation of their family through several generations and how just that family love connects them all. Y'all know I love books about families. The next one I'm sort of hesitant to call it a favorite. It's Ready Player One. I really loved the story of Ready Player One, where if you go online into this virtual world and then there's a treasure hunt and this adventure in that virtual world, but there are so many people who are trying to spy on other people and stuff. So it's just a lot. It's just very cool. I really love the story and the setting and the characters, but there is some profanity in this one, and I just felt like I couldn't quite enjoy it because of that. So I don't know if I really want to call it a favorite. I don't know. There were some elements in this book that I did not like, but there were a lot more elements in this book that I really loved. So maybe I would just recommend it with caution. The next one is Dragon and Thief. This is actually about a young thief and he meets a kind of a strange alien who mostly exists in 2D. He's like what do you call it? A symbiont? He's sort of like a symbiotic parasite where he will exist as almost like a tattoo in 2D on someone's skin. And then he can come out and be 3D for a few hours, and then he has to go back to 2D again. Or it's like he can't breathe or something, I don't know. So there's this really interesting like alien weirdness, you know, because the alien is the dragon, basically. He kind of looks like a weird dragon creature, like a monster dragon creature, but he exists in 2D on his host's skin. So of course, if you can go from being 2D to being 3D, that puts you in the perfect position to be a thief. This is a really fun sci-fi adventure with lots of, you know, spaceships and space travel and everything. There's space pirates and all kind of cool stuff. So I still need to read the rest of this series. It's one of my favorite books and I still haven't read the rest of them. So I definitely need to read that this year. Another one where I've only read the first book in the series is Shades of Grey. This is about a society where people can only see certain colors. So like based on your genetics, you're only able to see a certain spectrum of colors. So there's like the reds, they can see mostly reds. There's the blues, there's the yellows, you know. So kind of based on your color DNA, then that determines your place in society, if you're just a low grunt worker or if you're one of the rich elite. So everything that you do in society, your job and who you associate with and everything, who you can marry, it all depends on that color. Can you see color? And of course, there are some young rebels who are going to buck the system and stick it to the man. And, you know, they try to change their society for the good. But of course, they get into trouble. This whole society is very complex, and the rules governing it are very complex as well. And I really loved just discovering all of this interesting world. The characters are phenomenal. It's very dramatic and emotional. I really like it. But I want to read the rest of the books in the series, and I don't think they've even been published yet. The first book leaves you on this horrible cliffhanger, and I still need the rest of the books. I hate it when I get left on a cliffhanger. It's just, it hurts my brain, okay? The next one is The Hunger Games. Of course, The Hunger Games had to be on a list of favorite dystopian books of the last 10 years. I really want to reread The Hunger Games before that new one comes out, and probably rewatch the movies too. I don't think I've read it in several years, and so I just really want to revisit that world and revisit Katniss and Peeta and all those guys. And the last one on my list is The Princess of Mars, which is the first book in the Barsoom Chronicles. This is about an explorer who travels miraculously to Mars. And there's this whole society there and different types of creatures and everything. And he meets a princess who he rescues like the hero that he is, and he becomes very prominent in their society, but he has to battle his way through in order to win the princess. It sounds really dorky when you just explain it like that, but it really is a complex society that he comes into on Mars, and just it's so alien, it's so different, it's very imaginative, and I really enjoy these Barsoom books. I've only read a few of them, but I like the first one the best. And those are the top 10 sci-fi and dystopian that I've read in the last 10 years. Please leave me a comment down below and let me know what are some of your favorite sci-fi or dystopian books. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and remember, the right book in the right hands at the right time can change the world.